Hi, this is Stacy Kornhauser. Welcome to my podcast. So I have two guests here, Elizabeth and Richard. And let me tell you a little bit, though, before we get started, that the reason for this podcast, or the podcast happening now in my life, is that I have been thinking about having a podcast for quite some time. And at the same time, I'm also looking to do something else with my life for my second career, I think you should say. And when I was doing this, I thought, well, is this podcast perhaps a distraction? So I put it aside. And then I was at a wonderful salon dinner that Jim Baroud had brought together a number of people. And as everyone was going around the room, I think there were about 40 or so of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said my 2 minutes worth. And towards the end, because you, Elizabeth, were sitting in the back room.
Yeah.
And she starts talking about some lawyer, et cetera. And then she said podcast. And if anyone's looking to start a podcast, has a podcast, we have this room. And I thought, I don't believe in coincidences, personally.
I don't either. I believe the universe has a plan and it steers us. And if we don't go the way it says, it's.
Well, I'll say she has a plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think I was still talking with some people, and then I said, all right, I have to get up. And you were talking with some other women, and I did have to interject. And
That's I do that all the time. That was okay.
Okay, good. And they were very gracious about it. And I sat down and I told you what I wanted to do. And I remember the ladies had said, well, what do you want to do it on? I said, and I looked very hesitant because I was nervous about sharing an idea.
As you should be. Yes.
Right? And then I shared the idea, and I think there were 4 ladies around. They're like, oh, you have to do this. You have to do this. And I went, okay, I'm going to do it. And I have spent a lot of time. You have your meetups that I've gone to that have been wonderful. I write down notes in my notebook. And then you've had some meetups where I'm literally online doing as much as I can, looking for the color palettes, doing this, doing that. And I still have more to do.
Yeah. Well, you're approaching it seriously, which is good. You're way ahead of a lot of people that just start podcasts and then quit because they don't get anywhere. Podcast marketing is the first thing you have to do. Starting your podcast,
Yes.
you have to think about the marketing before you even start your podcast, which you're doing. You're really smart. You're doing it the right way. But you were also going on a trip right after that event that we met at.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I went to South Korea for about 3 days, only because I had to stop in South Korea to go to Mongolia. And I did interview, so this is funny. And the entire trip, I'm carrying along the little microphones that one of the ladies, Patricia, had mentioned for me to get. And I carried it on every excursion we went on. And it was a singles organization I went with. But wherever I went, people did not know English very well. And we didn't meet a lot of couples. It was just, we're seeing this, we're seeing that. We're in the South Gobi Desert, etc. So the last day, we're at what's called the Nadam Festival. And it is in Mongolia. It is basically the Mongolian Olympics. And they have certain sports, not a lot of sports. It's fabulous. If you want to look it up, it's Naadam, M as in Mary. And so I'm there, but I'm thinking, I'm not going to take this with me. Sure, it's small. But they also said, just like in any event you go to here in the United States, watch your pocketbook, don't bring everything in. So I said, I'll just leave this because I don't want to lose it. $23 worth. Right?
Hey, but $23.
Silly, but it's $23. And I ended up meeting 2 couples. And I did interview them. Right? So it was the funniest thing. Now, granted, it's on my cell phone. I've actually reached out to them because there were short ones, and I'd like to learn a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice because one of the couples, the man and the woman, are not from the United States, but they live here now in San Francisco. And the other couple, the gentleman is from the United States. I forgot where his wife is from. And they now live, I think it was Vietnam.
Wow. Yeah, so you have an international podcast already. Correct. And you throw Zoom in the mix, you can go anywhere, right?
Correct. So I'm definitely looking for lots of other couples to interview and learn so much about, not even about their magnetic moments, but some of the cultural things that they have to do is fascinating.
Well, like Indian weddings.
Oh,
If you've ever been to one of those, they're days, right? And they get to wear all these beautiful custom made dress. I mean, I'm kind of jealous because they seem really cool, right? Yeah, but the other thing is that I did want to mention while we're talking about this is that a lot of people, don't want to be on video.
Correct.
But you still interview them on Zoom so that you could have the right interaction.
Correct.
But then
Still
you
do
don't
it.
have to put their video on there. You can just use the audio. And if you want to put it on YouTube, which I strongly suggest, you just get pictures or something that you can overlay over the top of the audio track. It doesn't have to be them. It can be something completely different.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for the people where you were overseas, you could put the map of the world or whatever, if they didn't want to be on the video.
They actually seem to be okay on the video, but I did become LinkedIn friends, I guess you could say, with the two gentlemen. What was interesting for me on that is that the gentlemen were the main speakers. Now, granted, it was loud where we were. They both asked their significant others, I think one was married, one was just engaged, and said, would you like to say something? We were like, no, that's okay. So I was like, I have contacted them back on LinkedIn. I'll give them, some time.
As Richard sits here listening to us talk. Richard, do you have something to say about that?
This is fascinating.
So I think you were really brave starting your podcast on a vacation trip, or was that a business trip or vacation?
No, it was pure vacation.
Yeah, on a vacation trip. That was really, really brave. And I personally think it's a wonderful podcast. And
I think it's a great idea. I was so jazzed to hear about it because I think that's, capturing that magnetic moment when, people meet or when they connect. I think that's what it's all about, right? It's our relationships with other people.
Right. It's funny. So I'm part of this wine singles group, and we are, I'm going to say it is international. In fact, last night, a whole bunch of us met, and one of the gentlemen had asked a question about, chemistry or being friends first. Mm-hmm. And some of us gave the feedback, and I said, to be honest, I said, we're friends. Mm-hmm. Right. And he lives in Texas, and lovely, lovely guy. I said, but I remember when I first met you and another gentleman, it was one Friday night. We're the only three that got on the Zoom call. And we were just talking, and I thought I'd be on for half an hour. I was on with them for about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And I said, I will tell you, you guys are my friends, even though they live far away. I said, but there was that connection. There was both. Mm-hmm. So we had this wonderful magnetic moment that whenever one of them is on the call, I am joyous about it. Very joyous about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's such a nice experience, right? And by talking about it, we kind of take a step back in time and think about our own magnetic moments, even if we're not on the podcast.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And it'll bring a lot of happiness to a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want when I talk to two of my friends who will be on an upcoming episode, but more on audio, as we were saying. One of my girlfriends said, it just brought back some memories of things that we forgot when people ask how we met or have you, and just the simplest things of like seeing the lights on the bridge going over.
Yeah.
Right? And how beautiful that was. And I'm sure the lights were beautiful. I forget which bridge going into Brooklyn. But I could tell it was just how they were smiling and how he was like, and you won't see this on video, but how he was just so forward. His body movement was so forward. And by the end of the podcast, they were just smiling like, oh, this was great.
Well, and I think what's great about your podcast that you and I had talked about before you even started it is you feel like singles and people, like there's kind of this depression around it, like, and you want to do something uplifting and happy. And for single people too. I mean, you have people how we met that could have met a best friend like yourself. You're still single, but you met these other people and had the magnetic moments with them.
Correct. Well, you were my magnetic moment to get this going, to just say, it's not a distraction. And to be honest, I get jazzed every time I'm doing something for it. So maybe it's that distraction, but my emotions are right in there.
Yeah.
Every time I do, even the smallest little thing, I'm so happy. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's fun and it makes people happy.
Yes.
Good.
Perfect. Thank you.